Hello, I'm Anna Marie De La Vega. Thank you for joining me today for Focus. Today, a lot of damages, a lot of storm-related costs and expenses are on a lot of people's minds, so we're going to address that a little bit with our guest today, Paris Jackson. She's a financial advisor. She's with Northwestern Mutual. First of all, welcome and thank you for coming back, especially when we need you right now to talk about things. Paris,
thank you, Anna. Nice to be here.
And I'm always like, we need you. Come talk about this. But could we kind of hit insurance claims and storm-related damages and costs and expenses and things like that first, and then we'll move on to some other things?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So I know there's a lot going on. We definitely got hit, lost power, but our power was not out for as long as some people that I'm aware of. And so I think the very first thing that is ideal for anyone to do is to kind of look over their policy if they have access to it to see what is covered. And if you don't have access to that policy, contact an agent with your insurance company and ask for the coverage of things that can be repaired through your insurance policy. And some of the things that we don't typically think of that you can ask for is maybe some hotel reimbursement costs or, because you lost power, you don't have the food is not safe to consume.
Right.
So what are the reimbursement fees so you can replenish your groceries?
Oh, my gosh. That's going to be a lot of expense for a lot of people right there. Hotel rooms that they couldn't afford and weren't expecting.
Right.
Wasn't in the budget.
Yeah.
Oh, and then other than the property damage that they might have and the food and the hotel expenses, some people lost work.
Mm-hmm.
So people who have been really impacted by the storm and the ice and the trees and the limbs and the power outages and stuff may be really struggling right now. Could you give them like a word of hope, and we're going to tell you how to kind of start crawling back out of that mess?
Yeah. And so, Anna, I mean, it's really a scenario where you have to leave everything where it is and not overconsume your mind. And some of the things that helps clients, regardless of the scenario that we're talking about, is having somebody to assist you in pulling the pieces apart so that you can start to put them back together. Like identify where you are in the space of your finances, what, impact the storms have made to you, and then how can we facilitate getting out of it and then building and rebuilding for the future so that the next time that anything occurs, not just a storm, you'll be better prepared for it.
Okay, so how do you assess where you are? Meaning like there was this much money's worth of groceries or what? What do you mean where you are? Where do you start with that?
So assessing, yes. So things like saying how much damage do I have to incur out of pocket for repairs, like versus what my insurance company is going to pay.
The deductibles and stuff.
The deductibles, the any cost to repair a roof or anything that may not be covered in your policy. Just first kind of totaling up what the damage is financially, and then identifying whether or not you have the capacity through an emergency fund to absorb it, or is this a scenario where we may have to look at a credit card or a personal loan for repair costs. But the best thing is to just start and identify what the damage is, and then connect yourself with someone who can help you facilitate the arrangement of payments, so that you can understand all of the options that are available, and not necessarily, just swipe a credit card to pay for these expenses. There may be a better way to do it.
I know a lot of times, Paris, there are credit card offers like all the time that come in and say, no, 0% interest if paid off within so-and-so. But if you put $10,000 on a credit card, you're not going to pay 0% interest and pay it off in a year, or however that short promotional period is. So I feel like people can get in a big hole starting that way if they're not really sure what they're getting into.
Sometimes, and it's a really good thing for people to have access to that. And it definitely depends a lot on credit oftentimes. But again, it goes back to identifying the numbers. If that is something that the budget can absorb and you can be very intentional about the repayment, then it's something that could be beneficial, but it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
So I would say look at the terms, look at the offers. Maybe you can even call the credit card company and negotiate. If they offer 12, hey, can I do this for 18 months due to the storm damage, and see if they will accept that offer and go from there.
So what if this drains somebody's savings account? Should they just, I have that much in savings, I should just go ahead and spend that?
Not necessarily. You always want to make sure that you have access to cash. And so, back to the earlier statement, it's better to sit down and see where you are so that a plan can be developed. because, depending on the amount that's in your emergency account, maybe we can take a portion of that to pay down some of the expenses to lighten the amount of debt that's going to be accrued. Or it could be simply, hey, I need to reserve the cash that's in here for any other emergencies that may come up within the next 12 months. But I can build a plan through some type of loan or credit card repayment to ensure that everything gets taken care of, but I don't deplete what I have as far as access to cash.
Good. And you and I were talking before we even turned the microphones on, and you said something that really struck a chord with me. Some people might need to not only first you assess the damage, see what your costs will be, but some things don't have to be fixed right away.
Right.
If it's not making your roof leak, right?
Right. And this is the season where, you have income tax returns, you have bonuses from work. And so it's a part of the plan to identify the order, right? Yes. The order of what needs to take priority right now. Of course, food is always going to be at the top. But where do your damages land as far as, do I need to do this right now? Can it wait until the summer? And then if I am delaying the repair, how long does that give me to build up additional cash on top of what I have in my emergency fund so that we don't put everything onto a credit card or onto a personal loan?
Whoa. What you said, how long do I have to build up that money?
Right.
I'm expecting this much back from
taxes or, I have an upcoming bonus from, performance or just something that you're accustomed to receiving from your job.
Yeah.
This is a season where there are some other sources. And if we can put a plan together, then it brings everything into the light so that we can make better decisions.
Yeah. And this is Paris Jackson. She's a financial advisor. That's why she knows these things, and it's become her mission to make sure that it's delivered in a way that's understandable to us. And we appreciate that very, very much.
Thank you, Anna.
So I guess talking about how we can build it up, where do we start pulling that money from? Where do we find that money to build that up or to start building our emergency fund if we don't even have that?
Well, this is the best part of my job. And it's right. It doesn't matter who you are or how much money you bring in. We have to sit down and look at the numbers. I'm a very detail-oriented advisor. And so I believe if clients can see the numbers, then it helps them make the decisions better. Because if your mind is bogged down with what I have to do, what I have to pay, it makes it harder to make wise financial decisions. So the best thing to do to identify how I can save is to figure out where my current money is going. Mm-hmm. And so I do that through, sitting down and going through a budget plan. And not just saying, hey, I think this is what I'm spending on groceries, or I think this is what my subscriptions total. No, we got to go through the bank accounts and see what's being charged and see, if I have 6 subscriptions, I have Hulu and Amazon and all the other TV shows, but I'm not even really home to watch them. What can we cut? Because if I can take out 3 subscriptions, that could save me $60 to $80, and $60 to $80 over a 12-month period can start to build my emergency fund.
Okay.
If I'm spending, $400 to $500 a month on dining out, not actual groceries, but dining out, but I can look at ways to make my lunch, that $50 to $100 that I'm saving, even if I don't cut out dining out completely, the small amount that I'm saving is going to build over time. Savings is about discipline, and more than it is the amount. If you can do the consistency, then you'll look up and the money will be there. And so we just have to make sure that it's something that you can maintain, barring any other emergencies. Just make it a part of your daily habit. The same way that we pay our mortgages and our rent, we have to pay ourselves.
Do we have to go into the military to learn discipline? That's really hard, Paris.
No, it's definitely like, money is a pleasure thing for a lot of people. We work hard. We want to spend our money the way that we want. And it's almost a blind spot that you cannot really see into the future, right? You don't know what you're going to need an hour from now, and you don't know what you're going to need 60 years from now. And so it's about being in a space where you can do the right thing so that it makes the harder times just a little bit easier financially.
I remember thinking years ago, well, if I'm having a hard time, I wasn't saving anything at all. Mm-hmm. And if I'm having a hard time living on what I make now, wait till I get to when I'm older and my income decreases drastically. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be in a world of hurt. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of people actually are. And so your goal is to kind of help them get out of that.
Yeah.
You will help people put together a budget, see
will.
what they're spending. Does anybody ever cry when they start seeing how much is spending
There
on?
definitely have been some tears. It's like a therapy session, like a financial therapy session, because you do have to address yourself, right? This is not about Paris telling you what to do. This is about you saying, hey, looking in the mirror, this is what I've been doing over the last, 5 years or 10 years. And what do I need to change in order to get where I want to be? And so it's like facing the music. Everybody has to do it. Again, it's not discriminate to who you are, how much money you make, because you can make $500,000 a year and not have anything in the bank. And so it's about identifying what makes you make the decisions, because sometimes it's not that we don't make enough money. It's just that we choose to spend it elsewhere before we take care of ourselves and our future selves, more importantly.
Yes. That's a hard thing to do, is look at your future self. You'd rather let your future self. We think of it as a different person. Mm-hmm. I heard a study recently, and they were talking about the fact that we think of our future self as someone else, instead of going, this will be me, being really disappointed that I spent that money on there and didn't take that trip I wanted, or that sort of thing. And when you said something about you can make $1 million or $500,000 and not have any money in the bank, brought to mind that MC Hammer commercial. Did you see that a few years ago? He was like, it showed MC Hammer, and he was like having parties at his house, like woo 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 woo, and then it showed him like sitting on the curb, and they were hauling his stuff away.
Yeah,
I think the commercial was about something like financial responsibility. He's like, that's what happens. You can have a lot of money and not really have anything to show for it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, Paris, and if you're just joining us, we're talking with financial advisor Paris Jackson. She's with Northwestern Mutual. She's a repeat guest because she continues to help us in all kinds of different aspects of money. Do you ever have somebody go, well, I know this is a luxury, but I'm just going to do this? Mm-hmm. And so what do you do with that? You kind of help them work around it? Go, well, you're going to have to quit eating, or what's going to happen?
No, I fully believe in being able to have some type of benefit and pleasure to what it is that we're doing. Like, we're working hard every day. And so you do need to reward yourself. Sometimes it is, a mental wellness thing to go get a massage, or, go and get your nails done, or have a spa day or something like that. Or for, a guy, maybe I want to go to Home Depot and get a new tool. All right. We work hard for those things, but there's still a way to do it, so that you can reward yourself and pay yourself at the same time. And I believe that everything is budgeted. So a lot of my clients, we have a section within the budget that is strictly for that. Like, what is the thing that is non-negotiable for you when it comes to your mental wellness and your mental health? And we can plan for that. But if we need to identify that there's a buckle down period, right? That buckle down period may be 3 months that I need you to not do that. Right? 6 months until we can get ahead of the game, especially if it's something that we're behind in. Yeah. Then we get through our buckle down period, and then we get back to the nice to haves. But the goal is to identify whether your budget can absorb the need first, as well as the nice to haves. And then how do we kind of cut it out into pieces? And I love that you asked that, Anna, because the beauty of having an advisor that you're connected to is that you can go through the transitions together. The budget that we developed today, right, in February is not going to be the same in February of 2027, because your life is going to change. Your requirements are going to change. Your income may even change. And so it is something that has to be adjusted. And if we can get to this space where we live within our means, right, and force everything else to live inside of those means, then it makes our money last longer regardless of the situation. But there will be one-offs where, you did everything right and it's still not working out for you. And some of those things we can't help. But if we can try to identify and make sure all of our money, we talked about it, all of our money has to have an assignment. And if we do right by the money, then it gives the money a chance to grow and build and be there for us when we really need it.
And you called it the what? The have to haves and
the nice to haves.
Nice to haves.
Yeah. And the nice to haves and the needs.
And the needs.
Yeah.
The needs. And then certain things are not needs.
Right.
They're just nice to haves.
Right.
And a buckle down period. That's an important idea that you brought to the table. Mm-hmm. A buckle down period, meaning you did that before.
I've done it before.
You said something about a car. Somebody ran into somebody and you had to get a new car.
Yeah, it was 2 cars at the same time. But for me, I buckled down and we only use one vehicle to get around because I wanted to make a wise decision on when I purchased my next vehicle. And so instead of running out and just getting whatever, I took the time to do the research and figured out when's the best time of the month to go in. And so we paused everything. Like there was no spending, no anything, just assessing and making sure, hey, you have this car payment coming in, make sure that it fits comfortably within the budget. And before you walk onto the dealership lot that this is what fits inside my budget and it's non-negotiable.
Well, and that helps you get a much better deal because that's what
it does. And one of the things that was a part of the non-negotiable is, does this car payment still allow me to save? And if it didn't, then I cannot get the car that I want. And so that's just my personal philosophy. And so, when you have an accountability partner inside of an advisor, somebody who's going to tell you the truth about the decisions that you're making, I think that's usually what makes it hard about the relationship, right? But you need that. You need somebody who's going to give you what you need right now as well as what you need in the future, because your future self is the one that's at the most risk. Your future self is vulnerable because right now you're young and you're healthy and you can decide to go to work or switch jobs and do those things. But when you get older, those decisions are less and less within your control because your health may say otherwise. Your age may say otherwise. As far as your employer, you may have the skills, but I don't want to take that on as an employer. So we have to do our best to take on and care for our future selves to the best of our ability. And just sometimes that requires a little assistance.
Your future self is the most vulnerable. You put a great image in my mind. Like, okay, so there's this little old lady. Now, how would I want her to be able to live on maybe a limited income? Like you said, maybe you have the skills, but an employer doesn't want to take on an older employee. So you're there on a smaller income. How would I want that little old lady to live, which would be my future self?
Yeah.
And something else, Paris, I think a lot of people don't reach out to a financial advisor. I would say probably 98% of the people listening right now have never thought I can get a financial advisor unless I win the lottery, because they're afraid of how much it would cost.
Right.
What kind of costs might be associated? How can we know if that's something that we can do?
Right. So you can look up any financial advisor that's out there. You can look up their information. There are two types, one that charges to kind of sit down, certified financial professionals, and then others that do not. And so I am the type that does not charge, not because I can't, right? But I am in a space where this is a ministry for me. And so I want clients to be able to have access to the door. But with that being said, I do guard my time with mindset. So it's an exchange. If you want to do the work that's required to get where you need to be, then I can do that.
Yeah.
Because my overall goal is to ensure that you build wealth.
Yeah.
And ensure that your future self thanks you. And so while it's not a financial literacy business, right? That's not what this is. There is education involved, and there is, things that you're going to get exposed to that you wouldn't naturally on your own. But at the end of the day, this is a partnership that I have an expectation that you're going to be better in 2027 February than you are February 2026. And so it's you're coming in the door, not paying a credit card or, anything like that, but it is going to cost you. It's going to cost you discipline. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you effort.
It's going to cost you.
It's going to cost you.
Well, but that's life. That is how it is. It's like you get out what you put in, that sort of thing. I bet a lot of people built up credit card debt over the holidays. And then this hits. They're like, well, I think we're about to get a handle on this, and we're paying that off. And now an ice storm hits and trees topple and there's damage. What are they going to do?
Well,
hopefully they have.
Hopefully there's a resource, but if there's not, it just goes back to the fundamentals of figuring out what the plan is going to be. Some people do have the capacity to figure that out on their own, and if they do, then we can move forward with that as individuals work with their families. But if you're in the space where you cannot do that and you need assistance, then outside of a financial advisor, there's financial coaches and other resources that you can use. Like if you Google it, and you can find people that have those type of nonprofit businesses that can help you kind of figure those things out if you don't want to actually be connected to an advisor. But there's a lot of regrets around this time during the holidays. When I meet with clients, it's like, oh my God, Paris, I spent, $2,000 more than I wanted to spend. And I'll tell you, not as a guilt trip, right? But I do often, when I meet with clients, I always ask, what did you learn about money when you were growing up? Like who inspired you, or who made you feel like I do want to be like this person, or I don't want to be like this person. Yeah. And my encouragement is, your kids are watching, the people around you are watching. And so if you're making decisions to put yourself in a hole for pleasure of other people, then your kids are naturally going to pick up on that. And sometimes they leave the home and they can combat it and be like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And sometimes they pick up the same habits. And so we're building generationally. Whether we realize it or not, there's things that are being built generationally from a mindset perspective. And so the encouragement is to just be open and say, hey, this Christmas, I don't have the money to get everybody everything that they want, but we can get something. If everybody can get one gift, and we go from there, right? It's just about transparency and honesty. And when you do things like that, you're planting seeds in your kid's mind or in your family's mind to make better decisions when they run up into those type of things or scenarios. So I just think that, again, we can't go back and change the past. So come up with a plan to get rid of whatever it is that we did during the holidays, which will require the buckle down period. And then see if we can develop a system to ensure that you have what you need to do the things that you want to do to bless your family and have really good Christmases in the future.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with financial advisor Paris Jackson. She's with Northwestern Mutual, and we're talking about first of the year regrets as far as financial decisions. When you said you stopped spending at your house, you buckled down, you had a buckle down period. Is that everything? Do you have like a spending freeze, or are you just like, what? What does that mean? What should it mean?
It means something different to everyone. And so in my household, everybody's pretty much an adult and pretty much self-sufficient. Kids have their own jobs, things like that. And so the buckle down means, hey, for me and my husband, we cannot go to date night 2 nights this month. It may be we'll do date night, but it's at home, right, with food that we already have in the house, so we can not spend $150 at, a nice restaurant. That $150 stays in the bank. And so it's different for everyone, but it's just identifying what do you not need to do for a set period of time, and how much money does that save me? Like, if I can not do something for 2 months and that saves me $500, that $500 could cover a future car repair, or that could cover, Christmas gifts 10 months down the road. And so the buckle down period is really, really important, because it can be magical. When I work with my clients and we identify how long the buckle down period has to last, then it makes it a little bit more achievable, because it's not something that we're asking you to do permanently. It's just, hey, let's get out of the space we're in, because this space really feels uncomfortable. It feels overwhelming. And if I continue the dig, the deeper this hole is going to get. And so let's stop, right? We're not stopping 100%. But it's majority of it, right? Yeah. So that we can get to the space where our mind and our actions are in alignment with discipline to build our wealth.
And I like the fact that you said you're teaching the next generation. It's generational. When you make good decisions financially, because there are lots of families who are, and I would guess a majority of families, specifically in line to do the exact same thing their parents did. You said some choose to do the opposite. But the exact same, because that's what they were taught.
Right.
That's all they were modeled. That's all they know is you do this, and I'm going to borrow from somebody and borrow from so-and-so and always be living behind the 8 ball, and then go to bingo and lose $300. Yeah. I'm speaking from my experience. But yes, and so there are kids who've seen that as they grow up, and then they struggle. And I have struggled and still am. I'm getting on track, thanks to you. But I think there are a lot of people who just need to see that example in their lives.
Yeah. And it's about accountability. There's a lot of things that are just simply, no matter what somebody from the outside is thinking, some things are just simply hard to do on our own. And so who is the person that you trust, not just to tell you what to do, but to hold you to it, right? Can you ensure, and we don't control anybody as a financial advisor, right? But it's our job to tell the truth. Hey, if you don't do these things, this is your potential future, right? The lottery is only a select few people per year, right? Majority of us will never see lottery winnings. Most people will not see an inheritance. Like you have to figure out how to do this on your own. And so if we can identify those ways now, I can almost promise that your future will, you will thank yourself for this. Like there's a clear difference between people who don't have a safety net and people who do when they're in their elder years. And we do not have as much time as we think.
Well, what about people who are already in their older years? They're 40, 50, 60, 70. Is there anything they can do?
Of course. Time can be redeemed with action. And so there are especially, it's a scary thought the closer you get to a particular age. And so there may be adjustments that have to be made. But if you can know, kind of like that buckle down period, if I know this is only going to last for 3 months, my mind is going to allow me to accept this and take the actions to do it. If I'm 40 or 50 and I'm guessing whether or not I'm going to retire or how much, and I don't know the answers, then my behaviors are going to be in alignment with that. They're not going to have a purpose. And so taking the time to identify where you are is the most important thing out of this conversation. Where am I now? The second thing is, where do I want to be and who can help me get there?
I think we know the person right here in front of me. If you're just joining us, we're talking with Paris Jackson, a financial advisor. She works with Northwestern Mutual. Is there anything else that you would like to add as we kind of wrap up this? Let's get out of the holiday regrets. Let's figure out how to start with repairs and fixing things and getting that savings built up.
Yeah. To end on a positive note, there are a lot of people who have done really, really well. They've made a lot of great decisions and they were still impacted by the storm. And so, this is just a reminder to us that there's always a space to save. Even you reach a certain milestone, you may not need to put $500 away, but you still continue to put something to continue to build for the future. And so I would encourage everybody to identify where their savings is held right now. One of the most common things I see is that it's like in a regular checking account or in a regular savings where it's not earning you any interest. And we want to make all of our money work for us. The answer to that for an individual may be a high yield savings. It may be a money market account, and it may be a host of other tools that are available. But you have to identify what kind of saver you are. Are you the person that is an automatic saver where you allow it to come out of your check? Or are you like, hey, I'm going to pay my bills and make sure the things that I want are taken care of first, and then I put away after that? If you are a person that needs help, a financial advisor is the perfect connection for you because they can get that money out of your pocket and into somewhere where it's going to continue to build for you. But identify, your savings and give all of your money a purpose is what I would like to leave people with. We're at the start of a new year, and you will be absolutely surprised where you can be in December of 2026 if you make the change now.
Thank you. We'll put some links for more information on the Focus Facebook page. Thank you to Paris Jackson, financial advisor from Northwestern Mutual, for joining us. Make sure you join us again next week, please. I'm Anna Marie, and that's Focus.